So this is a video that is basically not a gameplay, but it's a showcase of everything that I've got. More like a show and tell of my depression collection. And as you know, you will be watching this because you're a fan of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, just like I am. And there are so many games that were released for the franchise, including those on the PlayStation 2, the Game Boy, the Nintendo Wii, the PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, PC, and DVD, to name a few. And this is my collection right here. Now, these are some games that are on a scale of very common to quite rare indeed. You can't really find them anywhere else. But I'll go through them bit by bit. And I am fully aware of the fact I've played other games that aren't in this pile, but that's because they're probably either emulated copies or I owned them in the past and they are no longer with me, either because they were too damaged or they were sold, but there we are. So I'm going to start with everybody's favourites. We've got the DVD games, so the basic staples of all Who Wants to Be a Millionaire DVD games. You've got the first edition DVD game. There are two variants of this. There is one of a picture of Chris Tarrant holding a remote. That is the earlier version. I believe that one came on 2 DVDs instead of 1. Same question set. However, when you use a 50-50 on that one, the 50-50, the answer goes over the wrong answer after you've used the lifeline. And I believe it says loading when you're trying to play the game, which doesn't say it in this. So little quirks out there. Oh, and Lewis's Law, which is what we've coined it as Tarrant posters. The answer to the £1,000,000 question is never A. It's never A, and we've actually coined that as Lewis's Law. So if you're watching Lewis 41, good find. Next one, second edition of Millionaire. First edition, but newer. It's alright. This is a good one. It's a decent game. It's you can actually play 4 players on this one. Rather than the first edition, it's 1 player only. This is a 4-player variant of this game. And I believe in this one, it's just more questions. It's just different clips. And he reads the questions. Oh, actually, well, he reads the questions in the first edition anyway, from the £1,000 onwards. So it's the same system as that. But I believe on the first edition, I believe on the first variant DVD, all the answers come up at once. They don't on this first edition, and they don't come up on this one either. So that is some trivia of that one. So second edition, still very good. Next one, everybody's favourite. It certainly is my favourite Millionaire game. It's the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire third edition. Baby Pomrak got this in 2005, and I was the happiest kid in the universe. And, well, just look at it. It was a game changer, really. It was, I believe this is actually the highest charting DVD game of the franchise. I think it got to number 4 in the UK as most popular DVD in the United Kingdom, which is pretty impressive for a Christmas present. This was a big game changer because it's a family picture edition. It included pictures in the questions from £1,000 onwards. 4 players again as well, and there were new categories as well. So you could play either as an adult or as a junior, so if you wanted it to be more easier or difficult to reach the million. There were prizes on all of these DVD games, at least in the UK. Anyway, first edition DVD game prize was some DVDs and a Millionaire goodie bag, whatever that was. Second edition prize was a trip to Universal Mediterranean. Rest in peace, you don't exist anymore. And this one was a luxury family holiday. I'm guessing it was Paris, because it did that on the photos and the montage when you won. And a lot of these, they would come with a postcard on the inside, but from the third edition onwards, it was a text game. So you had to pay money to text this premium rate number, and then once you'd done that, you'd be entered into a prize draw. And I hadn't heard of anybody who won that, but if you did win it, come forward. I want to hear your story. Next one is the 4th edition, the Family Entertainment Edition. And everybody loves new DVDs for 2006. Of course they do. And this is another family holiday one. I didn't mention anything about luxury family holiday. It's probably just like a bender in Tenerife or something. But you had same questions again. It was picture questions, adult and junior, and they had categories on this as well. So not only could you do adult and junior questions, you could also choose between general knowledge, entertainment, and sport. So it's more questions in the bank, more clips of Chris Tarrant criticising you, and it's just overall a more expanded version of the game. And you'll know there's a recurring theme here. Each of these games are getting more and more and more things as time goes on. So the second edition, you could play as 4 players, as opposed to the first edition. The third edition, you could choose between adult and junior questions and picture questions, unlike the second edition. And the fourth edition trumps the third edition, because you could choose the category of questions you'd like to answer. And the final answer cue plays when you answer the question, which is quite good. So you get the da-da-da when you actually lock in the answer, which you didn't on the previous games, but you had this when you played the question, which is another good thing. But again, it's trumped by this one, the 5th edition, To Blank, Love Blank, because I don't have any friends. It's family fun guaranteed, apparently, which is fun for us, but because, you know, Tarrant posters, we're a family. This is a real cash prize edition, so it was a text competition again where you could win real cash prizes. Again, I didn't know anybody who won it, but there we are. Picture questions from the first question, believe it or not. Picture questions, adult and junior, general knowledge, entertainment and sports. But this one also included, as well as pictures, on the £2,064,000 questions, you also get sound clips and videos as questions as well, which is really cool. And you get a Switch lifeline. So again, it's much, much, much more features as the, you know, DVDs are released. I don't own the 6th edition because it's terrible, so we're going to skip that one. So those are the UK DVD games, and if there is any place in the world who knows how to make a Millionaire DVD game, it's the Brits, because we invented it, we got here first, and we're still the best in the world. Right, this is one that's been rising popular recently, ever since probably about 2019, when everybody started to get it for a knockdown price. I got it for a knockdown price. I got it for £2.99 off eBay, and I got most of these off eBay as well. This is the Australian DVD game. It's based on the UK 2nd edition, and it does not contain picture questions, but you can use the 4 players on this, so you can play as 4 people, and it's the same layout. You can tell it's the 2nd edition because he even uses the same cues and script as Chris Tarrant does in the 2nd edition. And it's amazing because even though it's an Australian disc, you can still play it in your European DVD player. I can play it in PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, I can play it in a PC, so there's no region lock. Unlike some games, it wouldn't matter on a game anyway, because Australia and Europe still use PAL, so it wouldn't make a difference. But there's no region lock, and it's still playable. And I can tell there's no region lock on it as well, because Jesse Krill, he plays this, and he's got it. He's got this game. He's in the States. He uses NTSC television, and this is well, it's not in the region, so we can still play it, and that's the reason. And the sequel to that, based on the 3rd edition, Family Picture Edition. Again, Australia, and it looks brilliant. It looks beautiful. 4 players, adult and junior questions, picture questions, exactly the same, but everything is just in dollars, which makes it look really good. And some really good questions, I must say. It's quite difficult. I will say that we trumped the Australians because Australians didn't want to give away any prizes. They didn't want to give away a goodie bag. They didn't want to give away, well, anything, really. So they were quite tight. Okay, so there's enough of that one. I also have, even though I don't speak the language, we have Qui veut gagner des millions, which is the French DVD game. Now, imagine this with Chris Tarrant. That is the first variant of the 1st edition game that I'm talking about. That is the game I'm referring to, but this is basically the 1st edition in France. I believe you do win prizes in this. Yeah, I think you win a goodie bag, some DVDs, same as you do in the UK, which is quite good. Yeah, it's quite popular. TF1, the TV network, they released this DVD, which is a bit weird because ITV didn't release the DVD games that we made, they were just Universal, Celador, and Zoo. They weren't in conjunction with ITV or some other production company, but there we are. But yeah, Jean-Pierre Foucault uses the exact same system as the first edition of the game, which is quite nice. Now, this one is a sequel to it. It's the second edition French DVD game. I have not played this yet. I have not played this, and I have not done this on Millionaire Mondays at the moment, so I'm very interested to see what it's like. I'm very keen to see how similar it is to the second edition UK, but as you can see, it looks like you've got multiplayer, 4 players, and it does look similar to the UK second edition in terms of layout. Again, TFN, PAL, this Zone 2, so it shouldn't make any difference as to where you're playing it. I did own the third edition of this, so the Family Picture edition with adults and junior questions of the French game, that's gone, and that's a shame because I really like that one. If I want to buy another one, it's £25, and I'm not going to pay that money. I also had the German, it's German second edition, but it's based on the UK third edition. A bit like Australia, really. They call it it's their second edition in Germany, but it's the UK's third edition. I had that one as well, which I thought was a nice game. That had a very nice making the DVD function as a separate, like a special feature, which I thought was really good. And it was sponsored by T-Mobile as well, which is quite nice. Now, this is one of the rarest DVDs I could find. It is Chi vuole essere milionario, which is the Italian game. I've played this twice at the moment. 4 players. Now, it's based on the second edition UK. Do you know what the horrible thing about this game is? One thing that lets me down about this game, which is terrible, is the fact there is no host. Nothing. If you're playing the game, the money tree is just the Millionaire logo. And the screen freezes once you select the player. It's just an announcer. There's no Jerry Scotti. There's no other Italian. Nothing. If you've ever seen the Swedish game, it's very similar to that. I was looking for the Swedish game out of all of them, but this is a very similar layout. And I'm not for... Even if they got a man, just some bloke off the street, an actor, I would have done it. It is a letdown, but I mean, I'm glad I've got it because it was a very, 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 very rare find, and I'm glad I found it when I did on eBay. So that was good. And I got to say, I think that Italian one is one of the more expensive ones that I bought at this minute, but not as expensive as this. Now, you're probably thinking, why is this in, just some pound shop wrapping? That's because that's how it came to me. Because the sketch on the back isn't the game itself. It is, this is what I genuinely received. So you've got loads of paper here. So it's actually, the front and the backs of the game. You can probably guess what they are already. You've got Who Wants to Be a Millionaire second edition, which is the American game with Regis Philbin, which again is the first one. There was no first edition of Millionaire released on PlayStation, but there we are. And Who Wants to Be a Millionaire Junior of the UK version has even got the pound symbol. And you'll notice on the background of this, it's PlayStation, but there's a lot of Russian text. These are the unofficial, official Russian bootlegs, dubbed by courtiers and programmed in Russian language as well. So this is based on the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire Junior game with Chris Tarrant, which, by the way, I don't own any of the UK PlayStation games. I know, shocker. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, so they couldn't even get that right. And it's Who Wants to Be a Million, because I thought the O would have been the disc hole, but there we are. So this is actually a transliteration of the UK Junior edition. Of all of the text is in Russian, and that's a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace. It's a stain, it's a sham, and it's a complete insult to Celador, to Hot House Creations. It's hard work for the Russians. I'm sure they enjoy it very much, but that's an absolute insult. It's unacceptable, and they should have tried harder. They tried harder when they made this one, though. This is based on the American second edition, this disc. Very plain-looking disc, but it will work on a modded PlayStation. It's dubbed. Regis is dubbed into Russian. The only thing that isn't Russian is the Phone a Friends. The questions are in Russian. all the video clips are dubbed into Russian. There's Russian alphabet on the game as well. That's very cool how they've done this. And I didn't buy these on eBay. I'm not allowed to tell you where I got these ones from. I got it from a Russian marketplace. And I ended up having to do some trading with someone who was actually in Germany. But that's as far as I can say on that. That's very secretive to get hold of. I tried everywhere. A lot of people, because I replied in basically Google Translate Russian, a lot of people who were selling these games basically ignored me. And I had one person who listened, who wanted to take me up on their offer, and we made a deal. And that's how these came to be. Probably about 2-3 weeks later, this arrived in the post from Russia, which I'm surprised Royal Mail are letting people send things from Russia to the UK, but there we are. And finally, the last physical game I own at the minute is this one. Now, you'll be forgiven for thinking this is just Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, as I said, but you're probably thinking, hang on a minute, a few seconds ago, didn't you say that you don't own any of the UK games? I don't. You see that SLES code there, SLES 03585? If you look that up, you'll find it's actually the Australian edition of this game, even though when it was given to me you had a fucking JPEG Chris Tarrant image at the back. It is insulting. Even it's a shoddy looking whatever. But yeah, that's how I got it. But this is the Australian game. This was quite a bit of a hard find as well. I know that TIL has the Irish edition, which he got for pretty cheap if I'm not mistaken, which, you know, that's a pretty rare find as well. And I stand with TIL when he says that the physical copies of the game are much better than the emulated ones, which does beg the question why I don't own any more English games. It's because I've already played them. And they're just as good on an emulated, and if anything, they work faster. I did own the second edition of Millionaire on the disc up until very recently, until about 2 years ago, I think. But that disc was just so scratched, every time I got to about 250,000, the game would just stop. So I didn't think it was worth keeping. I should also point out that I'm trying to sell the German Junior game as well. Nobody wants it, which is a bit weird, but, you know, I suppose there's not many people who want to play German quiz games, but that's that one. That's Vivid Millionaire Junior Edition. Basically, it's based on the UK Junior Edition, and again, not a bad find. I've got to say, at the minute, that's my collection at the moment. We're not going into the games I've got on my Wii at the moment. They're not physical copies, as are the games that are on my phone as well. So we've got Millionaire Champions. We could go on for ages. But yeah, that's my Millionaire games collection. Yeah, so you'll probably see them. If I haven't played them, you'll probably see more of them, hopefully soon, because I really like doing Millionaire Mondays. I haven't done it for a while. I've been out and about doing a few things. I've been trying to get my DQC qualifications sorted out. And funnily enough, from today, we will be moving house. Mrs. Pomerak and I will be moving house in about a month's time. So we need to get our skates on with that as well. I've recorded a few episodes, but I haven't scheduled them until probably after September yet. So probably when winter comes by, you'll find a few more episodes then. But until then, thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, give your support to this new Pomerak Child channel, and hopefully you'll see more games soon. Before I leave, yes, I ordered the American DVD game. I've ordered that in November. It hasn't arrived. It's August as I record this. It's been 9 months. I could have had a baby and it would have arrived sooner than this dumbass American DVD game with Meredith Vieira. And when it arrives, I'm going to be really, really annoyed.